The apartment was unrecognizable. Cardboard boxes towered like uneven city buildings. Their taped seams creaking under the weight of our lives packed inside them. The smell of dust and stale air hung heavy, stirred up every time I shifted another box across the scuffed hardwood floor. Our old couch, the one we bought secondhand and promised to replace one day, sat bare and ugly without its cushions, which were already sealed in plastic. It was supposed to feel exciting. Tomorrow we'd be gone. Gone from this cramped apartment, from the noisy neighbors, from the corner store that always closed too early. We were moving to a bigger place, a better place. The first step toward everything we dreamed about for years: more space, more light, maybe even a dog. At least, that's what I thought. She was sitting cross-legged on the floor near the window, peeling tape from a roll with slow, deliberate pulls. It made a high-pitched shriek that echoed against the empty walls, but she didn't seem to notice. Her dark hair fell over her face in a way that used to make me smile, but tonight, it just seemed heavy. "Hey," I said, wiping my hands on my jeans. "We're almost done. You've barely packed anything from your desk, though." She glanced at me, the corners of her mouth twitching into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Yeah, I'll get to it." Her voice was quiet, too quiet. It wasn't the first time I'd noticed her distance lately. In the last 2 weeks, she'd been more distracted. More somewhere else. I told myself it was just the stress of the move. That's what I always did. Explain things away so I wouldn't have to admit I was worried. I dropped down beside her, brushing a stray hair from her cheek. "What's going on in that head of yours? You've been acting weird." She hesitated, looking at the roll of tape in her hands like it contained the answer. "It's nothing, just tired." But there was something in her eyes, something restless, maybe even afraid. We'd been through too much together for me to ignore it. 3 years of clawing our way out of bad jobs, late rent payments, nights eating cereal for dinner because it was all we could afford. I'd worked overtime. She'd taken weekend shifts. Every sacrifice had been for the life we were supposed to be building. So why did it feel like she was already somewhere I couldn't reach? I reached for her hand, but she pulled it back, standing up to stack another box. "We should finish tonight," she said, her voice flat. "Tomorrow will be busy." The distance between us felt wider than the empty space in the room. It was past midnight when we finally stopped. The apartment was hollow and echoing, our voices bouncing off bare walls. She made tea, but it went cold in our hands as we sat in silence, the only sound the occasional rumble of a car passing outside. I wanted to break the quiet, to say something light and hopeful about the future, but something in her posture stopped me. She was curled into herself, her eyes fixed on the steam curling from her cup. "You're scaring me," I said finally. Her eyes lifted to mine, and for a moment, I thought I saw tears. She opened her mouth, closed it, then set the mug down with a soft clink. "I have to tell you something," she whispered. My heart started to pound. She stood, walking toward the window, staring out at the streetlights like they might guide her words. "I've been keeping something from you. For a while now." Every nerve in my body tightened. "Keeping what?" When she turned back to me, her face was pale but her gaze steady. "There's someone else," she said, her voice trembling. "And he makes me happier." The room tilted. My breath caught somewhere between my lungs and throat. "What?" She didn't flinch. "I can't move tomorrow. Not with you. I can't pretend anymore." Somewhere outside, a car horn blared, sharp and distant. Inside, everything went silent except for the pounding of my own heartbeat. I stood there, frozen in a moment that felt like it split my life into before and after. "Who?" I asked, but my voice was barely a whisper. Her lips parted, and she spoke a name I recognized instantly, and it felt like the floor disappeared beneath me. It was like hearing the name of someone who'd been living in my house without me knowing. Not a stranger. Not some faceless man from nowhere. Ethan. The word felt poisonous on my tongue. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because my body didn't know what else to do. "Ethan? Our Ethan? The Ethan who's been to dinner here a dozen times." She didn't answer. The weight of it hit me in waves, memories of barbecues, late-night board games, the time he helped us carry a bookshelf up 3 flights of stairs. The way she always seemed to laugh at his dumb jokes, a little too much. I'd noticed it back then, but brushed it off. "You're joking," I said, though the part of me that still hoped for a punchline was shrinking fast. "I'm not." Her voice was small, but it landed like a gunshot. Something inside me cracked. "How long?" Her eyes darted away. That hesitation, that split second, told me more than her words ever could. 8 months, she whispered. 8 months. My mind reeled. That was back when I was working late nights to save for the move. Back when she told me she was spending time with friends to keep from feeling lonely. Back when she swore nothing had changed between us. I felt my fists clench. "So while I was killing myself at work, you were—" "Don't," she said sharply, her voice trembling. "Don't make this uglier than it already is." "Uglier." I stepped closer, the air between us electric with something I couldn't name. Rage, heartbreak, disbelief. "You've been with him for 8 months? And you want to talk about ugly?" Her shoulders stiffened. "I didn't plan for this to happen." I barked a bitter laugh. "Oh right, love just tripped and fell into his bed." "Huh." She flinched, and for a second I hated myself for saying it. But then the images came rushing in, her smile when she looked at him, the casual touches, the moments I thought were harmless. All of it replaying in my head, tainted. The night dragged on in a haze of questions I didn't want answers to. I paced the living room, surrounded by boxes we'd packed together, each one now feeling like a lie. "How did this even start?" I demanded. She sat on the couch, twisting her fingers in her lap. He was there when you weren't. We started talking. Felt easy." "Easy," I repeated, my voice rising. "That's your excuse? You needed easy?" Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't look away. "I needed to feel alive again." Her words cut deeper than I expected. Alive. As if I hadn't been enough to make her feel that way. "You could have talked to me," I said, my voice breaking. "You could have told me before you." She shook her head. By the time I realized what was happening, it was too late. "I didn't want to hurt you." I stared at her, stunned. Too late for what? To stop? Or to choose? She didn't answer. It wasn't until nearly 3 a.m. that I finally sat down, my body too heavy to stand any longer. She stayed on the couch, curled up like she was bracing for impact. "Were you going to tell me at all?" I asked. She swallowed hard. "I wasn't. I was just going to move with you tomorrow and try to forget about him. But tonight," her voice cracked, "tonight I realized I can't. I can't leave him behind." The words hung in the air like smoke, choking me. "You can't leave him behind," I repeated slowly. "So what? You're just going to leave me instead?" Her silence was the answer. Somewhere outside, the first light of morning was bleeding into the sky. The move was supposed to start in hours, and here we were, tearing apart the life we'd built before it even had the chance to change. Finally, I asked the question I'd been avoiding. "Has it been physical?" Her eyes flicked to mine, and the truth was right there before she even spoke. "Yes," she said softly. "Since the beginning." I felt my stomach twist, my breath turn shallow. My hands curled into fists, but I stayed rooted to the spot, because if I moved, I wasn't sure what I'd do. "You've been with him," I said, each word heavy, "and coming home to me every single night." Tears streamed down her cheeks, but she didn't deny it. I stood, my chest burning, my voice low and dangerous. "Then tell me this, was there ever a time, in these last 8 months, when you were with me and not thinking about him?" She opened her mouth, and her answer wasn't the one I expected. It wasn't even a word. It was a confession, a truth about Ethan that changed everything I thought I knew about him. Her lips trembled before the words came out. "He told me, he's in love with you too." The air seemed to vanish from the room. "What?" She shook her head quickly, her eyes wide, as if realizing how it sounded. "Not like that. Not in some romantic way. He admires you, respects you. He's been obsessed with your life, the things you've built. He told me he envied you from the moment he met you. I stared at her, my brain trying to process the twisted logic. So you decided to give him my life? It's not like that, she whispered. Oh, it's exactly like that. My voice rose. You handed him everything. My home, my trust. And now you're telling me he's been sizing me up this whole time like I'm some trophy to steal. Her gaze dropped to the floor. He said he can give me more than you can. Not just money. Tension. Time. I cut her off, my chest burning. And you believe him? Her silence was answer enough. The next hours were chaos. The movers were still scheduled to arrive, and every knock at the door felt like the start of a nightmare I couldn't control. I told her to cancel them. She refused. Word got out fast. My phone buzzed nonstop. My sister, my best friend, even my mother calling after hearing something from someone. I didn't answer. Couldn't. Then, just before noon, there was a knock that wasn't from the movers. I opened the door and there he was, Ethan. He looked exactly the same as he always had. Easy smile, clean shirt, that faint smell of cologne that somehow made my skin crawl now. But his eyes, they were different. Not apologetic. Not even nervous. Confident. Hey, he said like we were about to go grab a beer. I didn't move. You've got 5 seconds to tell me why you're here before I put you through that wall. Behind me, I heard her voice. I asked him to come. My stomach twisted. You what? She stepped into the doorway, placing herself between us. I thought, it'd be better if we talked. All three of us. No more secrets. I laughed bitterly. Oh, this is rich. You burn our entire life to the ground, and now you want a group therapy session. Ethan's smile faded. I'm not here to fight you, man. I just think you deserve to know the truth. My fists tightened. The truth? Like the truth about you sleeping with my girlfriend for 8 months. His jaw twitched. It's more complicated than that. The three of us ended up in the living room. Me leaning against the wall, arms crossed, her perched on the edge of the couch, him sitting like he owned the place. I didn't come here to steal her from you, he said. At first, I just wanted to be part of your world. You have this drive, this ability to make things happen. I've never had that. I glared at him. So you tried to be me? He shook his head. No. I wanted to be close to it. And then, things with her just happened. I turned to her. Is this true? He was obsessed with me? She nodded slowly. He said you inspired him, that you made him feel like he could do more with his life. I didn't think it was dangerous. Dangerous. The word hung there heavy. Here's the part you need to know, Ethan said, leaning forward. She's not the only one I've been spending time with. Your business partner, Mark, we've been talking. A lot. I froze. Mark and I had been building a side project for months. Something I'd poured every spare dollar into. If Ethan had been talking to him, what did you do? I asked, my voice low. Ethan didn't flinch. Mark's ready to walk away from you. We're starting our own thing. The contracts, the contacts, the investors, all lined up. The floor beneath me might as well have caved in. You're trying to take everything. He smiled faintly. Not trying. It's already in motion. I wanted to hit him. God, I wanted to. But there was something more dangerous than rage building inside me, cold, sharp focus. You think you've won, I said. But you don't know me as well as you think. Ethan stood, buttoning his jacket. We'll see. She's coming with me tonight. You can keep the apartment. He walked to the door, but before leaving he turned back. By the way, Mark's meeting me in 2 hours to sign the paperwork. Thought you'd want to know. The door shut behind him, and for a moment the silence was deafening. I turned to her, my voice shaking. So this is it? You're just walking out the door with him after everything? Her answer wasn't what I expected. It wasn't yes. It wasn't no. It was a secret about Ethan, one that made my blood run cold and changed my next move entirely. Her voice was steady, but her hands were trembling. Ethan isn't who you think he is. I almost laughed. Yeah, I figured that out when he tried to wreck my life. She shook her head.
No.
I mean, really isn't. He's been lying to me too. The anger in my chest faltered, replaced by a colder curiosity. What are you talking about? She took a deep breath, as if forcing the words out. He told me he had money, that he could take care of me, give me more than you ever could. But last week, I found out he's broke. Worse than broke. He owes people, dangerous people, and he thinks getting your business is his way out. The pieces clicked together, ugly and jagged. This wasn't about love. It was about survival. I paced the room, my mind racing. So you're telling me this whole thing? You, him, Mark? It's just so he can pay off his debts? She nodded, tears in her eyes. He's desperate. He told me if I didn't help him, they'd come after him. And after me. My stomach tightened. And you didn't think maybe I should know that before you tore our lives apart? She flinched. I thought, maybe if I left with him, you'd be safe. Safe. The word felt hollow now. If Ethan was willing to burn down my life to save his own, safety was already off the table. 2 hours. That's all I had before Mark signed those papers. And if Ethan got control of the project, I wouldn't just lose the business. I'd lose the one thing that still proved I could build something worth keeping. I grabbed my keys. She stood. Where are you going? To stop him. I'm coming with you. I stared at her. You've done enough. I know, she said quietly. But I'm the only one who knows how to get him to talk. You're going to need that. Against every instinct screaming at me to leave her behind, I let her come. We found them at a coffee shop downtown. Ethan and Mark, seated in a corner booth, a thick manila envelope between them. Ethan's charm was dialed up to full volume, his smile easy, his posture relaxed. He didn't see me until I was standing at the edge of the table. Change of plans, I said, my voice low. You're not taking anything from me. Mark looked between us, confused. What the hell is going on? I tossed my phone onto the table, the screen glowing with a recording. Ethan's voice, crystal clear, bragging about using me, about owing people who don't wait for their money. Mark's face hardened. You set me up? Ethan's smile faltered. It's not what you think. I leaned in. It's exactly what he thinks. Things unraveled fast. Mark grabbed the envelope, muttered something about lawyers, and stormed out. Ethan sat frozen, his confidence bleeding away. You think this is over? He said finally, his voice low. You have no idea who you're messing with. Neither do they, I said, nodding toward the street where a black sedan had just pulled up. 2 men stepped out, scanning the sidewalk. Her breath hitched. They're here for him. Ethan's face went pale. You told them? I didn't answer. We left before the shouting started. By the time we reached my car, the coffee shop windows were reflecting a storm of movement inside. I didn't look back. That night, the apartment was still full of boxes. But the air was different, not lighter, not yet. She sat across from me, her hands wrapped around a mug she didn't drink from. I can't ask you to forgive me, she said softly. But I meant it when I said I wanted you safe. I nodded slowly. Safe doesn't mean together. Her eyes filled with tears, but she didn't argue. She stood, picked up a small duffel bag, and walked to the door. Just before she stepped out, she looked back. For what it's worth, he never made me as happy as I said. The door closed. I sat alone, surrounded by the pieces of the life we'd almost had, taped up in boxes, ready to go somewhere else. Tomorrow I'd unpack them, but not here, and not with her.